Well, illegal mining continues to be a challenge in South Africa. Over 500 suspected illegal miners were arrested on Friday at the Sheba Gold Mine in Barberton. 24 miners, other illegal miners, were also arrested yesterday morning. Now, illegal mining has become a growing concern, particularly areas where abandoned mines provided opportunities for unauthorized mining activity. Can we put an end to illicit mining? Well, to answer that question, we are joined by the Director of Mining at Modern Corporate Solutions, Peter Major. Peter, good to have you. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Leanne.
Such a simple question. Can we put an end to it? Or maybe I should rephrase it. Do we have the will to put an end to illegal mining, or are too many people benefiting?
Look, right now, I don't think we have the will. But even if we did, we'll probably never be able to put an end to illegal mining. It does happen all over the world, but it's happening very, very largely in countries that are unable to control the very factors that lead to it. And Africa as a whole, I think there's 52 countries in Africa, probably not even 10 of them can control illegal mining to any reasonable degree, like, say, a Western world. But South Africa, in particular, it caused illegal mining to explode by a number of things. And one of them was the transfer of the new government in 1994. They were inexperienced, but they were a bit arrogant. They were a bit biased. And we already had trouble on influx control with illegals coming into our country all through the 60s and 70s. As each African country got independence, more and more of their citizens came to South Africa for jobs, legally and illegally. So even the National Party in the 60s, 70s, 80s was battling to keep illegals out. But boy, by 1994, it's like we opened the floodgates. Then I think magnitudes of illegals came into the country.
Yeah.
Then we nationalized the mines. The state nationalized all the ore resources that the mining companies had. So they no longer own those ore resources. So they were very reluctant to put any more money into extending the life of them because they didn't own those ore resources. And they were subject to hundreds and hundreds of new and debilitating laws that made it harder to make a profit. Then you had a gold price in the new millennium. Most metal prices really took off as part of the super cycle, but the gold price really took off. So here's a country that for years produced 60, 70% of the world's gold. We probably still have nearly half of the world's known gold resources. So everybody wants to mine them, but the only people that are mining them are a few legals and many, many illegals. And I suppose you could add a fourth leg to that table by saying we have massive unemployment in this country, much, much worse than we've ever had before. And so you've got illegal locals, unemployed. You've got illegal foreigners who are obviously desperate and unemployed. You have a very weak guard on your borders, weak army, weak and corrupted police force. Man, it's all those factors, Leanne. So yes, we can never eliminate illegal mining, but we have to address all of those factors if we want to reduce illegal mining.
And this is a major problem. And we get promises a lot of the time. I mean, we had the Operation Valamgodi, which was launched to combat everything we're talking about here in terms of illegal mining activities. Has it done anything? I mean, what the objectives? Have they achieved them?
You know, it is so wide scale. And as I said, it's coming for so many reasons that you can pick these people up and there's just as many people to replace them. And yes, we've got thousands of abandoned mines, and most of these mines in today's price environment can be mined profitably, especially if you don't have to adhere to the thousands and thousands of regulations that the DMR now has. And that's why syndicates have filled the role of legitimate companies. Syndicates always fill up the vacuum of a government that's lost control. And this government, as we've seen in the last decades, it doesn't have control over what's going on in this country. It doesn't have control over private property, doesn't have control over its railroads, doesn't have security control over its borders, its police force. They're battling to keep good people. They're battling to eliminate syndicates in their own police force. We've got a lot of politicians that shouldn't be in their place because they just don't know what needs to be done. They don't have experience. We can't stop trying. We got to keep addressing possible solutions, but we've got to keep measuring, addressing the problem.
Yeah.
And the bigger the problem, the more it's exposed, the more we can work at ways of minimizing the problem, or at least improving on it.
So, Peter, we talk about illegal mining, and very often it's described as being spearheaded by globally connected criminal syndicates. And I mean, we hear things like they are using military-grade weapons for cross-border trafficking, and gold is smuggled into different countries. I don't want to name the countries. Perhaps you would like to, but I'm not too certain. I mean, there are a few names that pop up, but you know that things like this happen. And I wonder if this has outgrown the label of informal artisanal activities. And the bottom line is that it actually should be handled as a form of trafficking or terrorism in a way, because this is robbing the economy and the country of wealth. So, you know, arresting and convicting the organizers, you know, is this something we can do, or they're the kingpins that are actually getting away with all of this?
Usually the kingpins get away with it. But you brought up some really good points, Leanne. These are large global syndicates because, as we all know, mining is not made for individuals. No matter what the ANC says, no matter what our president and Gwede Montash say, mining is not made for individuals. And really, farming is barely made for individuals because there's too much risk involved, and there's too much equipment and licensing and et cetera, just in marketing, just in transport. So mining is really no more made for small individuals, let alone artisanals, than is going into space. You know, to go into space, we shouldn't encourage people to build your own space rocket. It's poppycock. We shouldn't encourage people to go out there and do mining. And most of these miners do not want to go out there and work for a syndicate. They'd rather work for a traditional mining company, Anglo American, Gencor, Goldfields, Harmony. You know, then you get insurance, then you get benefits, you get security of employment. You can get a bank loan. So they're not working for syndicates because they want to, but if you're the government, what must you think? You've driven these people out of work. We used to have 575,000 men working on our gold mines at a much lower gold price. Now we have a gold price 10 times higher in dollar terms, and probably more than that in rand terms. And we got almost 500,000 of them out of work. I don't think the whole gold industry in South Africa officially employs 85,000. So where's those 500,000 gold miners that were promised riches beyond their wildest dreams? And, you know, a lot of them are out there. A lot of these illegals are experienced gold miners from South Africa out of work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this brings me to a question to ask you, that there clearly is a shadow economy running alongside what we know. Because when we look at this, there's a vacuum that needs to be filled by state failure. Because, I mean, everything that we are saying is leading to exactly that assumption. You've got communities in forgotten mining towns that have got no jobs, no education, no hope. Illegals are roaming around there, and there are mines that have been left derelict. So this shadow economy is perhaps only hope that many have. Yes,
that is a sad but powerful reality. If it was the only hope you had, Leanne, I know you'd be out there. I'd be out there if it's the only hope. You know, and I'm still in mining. Don't want to say it's my only hope, but I've done it for 55 years. And so wherever I go, I'm going to try and do mining first. It's what I know best. Now, I don't ever want to have to do something illegal, especially in mining. But if you've lost your job and your family's depending on you, and you're going to pretend you don't know much about that syndicate, but they offer you cash to do something that you've done and you're good at before, and you're starving. But why have we put people in this predicament? Why have we put 45% of our workforce out of work when we were one of the treasure troves of minerals? And we still are. We have good infrastructure compared to Zambia and Zaire. Great infrastructure compared to them. And yet they are getting billions of dollars of foreign investment, as opposed to us. I don't think we get $1 billion of foreign investment in mining here. So why are those two countries north of us that have much worse infrastructure and less trained people, why are they getting billions in foreign investment and we're not? You know, are our politicians answerable to that? Why can't they create an environment that we get tens of billions of dollars? And we got the minerals, and they're more developed than those north of us. Yeah. And we got the ones that the world wants, gold.
What about regulating the informal sector? I mean, is this perhaps something we can do, licensing small-scale miners? I mean, I'm just looking at solutions that we could perhaps put in place because, you know, we've been talking about the problem for so long. We've been talking about inadequate policies, policing, all of these kind of things. But perhaps therein lies a solution.
Leanne, I've been to many mining endowments and conferences where our mining minister, Gwede Montage, speaks. And most of them, where he speaks, he wants to bring these illegal miners, the informal miners, into the formal system. Now, I've heard him say this for years. But do you know what? I can't remember him once saying, I want to bring foreign investment into South African mining. I want to bring some of this billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars. I want to bring that to South Africa, let alone here's my plan. So he's always talking about illegal miners and artisanal miners, and he's always talking about, I want to bring them into the system. Why would they come in the system? Why do they want to pay tax? You know, and if they're in the system, they have to fulfill all kinds of requirements. So why would they want to come in the system? But why doesn't he not talk about bringing in the foreigners who built this mining economy of ours over 100 years? They put in hundreds of billions of dollars over 100 years, and he's chased them away. Why doesn't he want to bring them back and let them do all the work? Yeah. Let them sink the shafts. Let them organize 500,000 miners. Let them pay taxes. Let them pay royalties. Let them help communities. You know, he's concentrating on poor and illegal people that don't have the capacity to contribute much more than their labor to the country. And he's ignoring big, rich corporations, banks, and investment firms that can really make an impact in this country.
Yeah,
why?
Indeed, and that's the question, why? I mean, as we wrap this up, we've got a minute. I mean, it should be that big mining companies are compelled to co-fund rehabilitation of these mines, to work in these mines. We cannot give private entities a free card here. So why are they not being compelled? What's at play?
They are being compelled. Gee, even before you get a prospecting license, you are highly compelled to post money before you even start prospecting, to ensure that if you don't clean up, that the money that the government is now holding on your behalf can fund contractors to more than clean up any mess you made. By the time you apply for a mining license, you have to put in more money than you will probably ever need to clean up the mess you're making. And you have to write reports on a quarterly basis, and the DMR comes to monitor. So you could say, are they not being enforced? Also, if a big mining company sells a mine to a small mining company, and we've seen Anglo American do this, they've sold properties and mines to smaller mining companies, and smaller still means large. You know, Anglo American sold a lot of their mines to Patrice Motsepe. Now, Patrice Motsepe, did he sell some of his mines to someone smaller? Did he comply? I would venture to say yes, he did comply. And the people that he sold to, they probably complied. So I hear people saying the big companies are not made to turn close these mines properly. But to pour hundreds of tons of concrete over openings, these illegals, they do have exotic equipment.
Yeah.
They've got advanced equipment. They can break through that concrete. They can cut through that steel. So
Yeah.
it's not so much that the mining companies are leaving these things wide open. No, it's the illegals are determined to get in there. They're well-funded, well-backed.
Peter Major, we got to leave it there. Thank you for talking to us. Peter Major, always enlightening, having conversations with you, the Director of Mining at Modern Corporate Solutions, speaking about the scourge of illegal mining in South Africa.